and he looked to his left, and there was this lion looking straight at him.
I have heard of VHS, yeah. Do you know what it stands for, Maxwell?
No, I do not.
Hunting. My dad used to take me into the duck swamps when I was just a little fella. Used to carry me in and sit me on a log, and I used to sniff the cartridges, and I loved it. Oh, it was fantastic.
You like Plushy when he was here last time?
No, not that kind of ginger.
Are we going to go blind if we drink this? And I said, I truly don't know.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Yeah, cheers.
Maxwell, we're back again.
We are.
And this is a friend of yours. Perhaps you would like to...
Yes. Rich, if you would like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
You just handball that straight over.
Yeah, well, my name's Richard. I've been hunting. I've lived in Adelaide all my life, almost.
Almost.
Interesting.
My parents came here from India in the mid-60s. Mm-hmm. And so I was a very young child then.
Okay.
And so I spent, did basically all my schooling here. And my father was an officer in the Indian Army, and then when he retired, they migrated out here. And that's where I get all my hunting passion from, because he used to hunt in India, and through the army he would hunt all sorts of big game, including tigers. And
yeah, wow.
He was actually then posted to Ethiopia for 3 years. He took my mum and my older sister, and I was actually born in Ethiopia.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, and while he was in Ethiopia, he hunted lions and all the big antelope, and I've got this fantastic photograph of him, actually, with so one of the ways in the old days where they used to hunt lions was to bait them. They'd buy a donkey or a cow or something from the local village and stake it out, and then they'd build something called a boma, which is a thorn brush shelter.
Right.
And lions will not break through the thorns because, if they get a thorn in their paw or whatever, they're screwed. Mm. So they tend to avoid the thorn brush. So you're quite safe, apparently. But they're quite...
Apparently.
They're quite small, like 7 or 8 feet in diameter. And he shot a lion. So he was asked to go and dispatch these lions by the army because they were getting too close to the villages and making a mess. So he shot one of the lions, and then it was getting very dark, so he put the rifle down, and they had to just wait for his men to come and pick them up in their vans and jeeps. So while they were waiting, he heard another male lion starting to roar and approach them. And he came right up to the boma, and Dad said it was total darkness. He couldn't see anything, but they could hear it sniffing around the boma. Oh. So he's peering out of the hole, because they had a hole where you could put your gun out. And he's peering out of the hole, and he looked to his left, and there was this lion looking straight at him through the thorns. So he picked up his old Kodak camera and just snapped it off. And in those days, they did slides, they were developed as slides. Mm-hmm. And so Kodak sent them back, and they sent a whole bunch that didn't take, or that they didn't, underexposed, whatever. Yeah, so he was going through them all one night, and he said he's just looking at them all, and he held this one up to the light, and he just saw there's a darkness, and you can just see this perfect face of the lion staring straight at him.
Wow.
I've got that at home.
That's amazing.
Yes, but it's on slide. So I need to develop onto some kind of USB so I can actually, because it's an amazing photograph.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's an amazing photograph. Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
So that's how.
So you're a well-travelled man, even before...
Even when I was a child, yes,
even
I suppose.
when you were a child.
Yes. So,
And you've had a fairly extensive hunting career?
Look, I've been very lucky. I've hunted in several different countries and continents of the world, but I've made some of it happen, I always wanted to hunt Quebec Labrador caribou. I saw a couple of old Ken Wilson films that you guys probably haven't even heard of them, but this is in the old VHS.
I'm not that old. I'm not that young. I've heard of them.
You've heard of VHS?
I have heard of VHS, yeah. Do you know what it stands for, Maxwell?
No, I do not.
Have a go.
A video something.
It's something on the end. What's the H stand for?
Oh, I wouldn't have a clue.
Guys, put in the comments what you think VHS stands for without Googling.
Fill me in,
Try and fill Maxwell in, make him feel better about himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I always wanted to hunt these caribou, and by chance in the late 90s, I saw this website. There's a guy from Colorado, and he was filming and writing about all his elk hunts. It's fascinating. And he actually said he's quite willing to do exchange hunts. So I emailed him, and he was very keen to come out here for a red deer. And he said, I'll take you out for elk. But he couldn't come because of work and his young family. And, we were talking for a while. And I mentioned to him that I, always wanted to hunt caribou. And he instantly said, well, here's a guy who does the photography for this caribou company in Quebec. He said, email him, here's his details, because he'd love to come to Australia, and I did. So for the cost of my airfares and 2 nights accommodation, one there and one back, I got a free caribou hunt.
Oh, wow.
And I got 2 caribou, 2 bulls.
We're only talking
that was a
about
fantastic experience. That was amazing.
They're an incredible beast, aren't they?
I flew in on a float plane, and it was just so picturesque. You land on the lake, and all the cabin tents are all set up.
Do you have the caribou mounted at home?
It's not at my home, but I do have it. I've got a photograph of it on my Insta page somewhere there.
Yeah, excellent. Oh, there you go, a little plug to Rich's Insta page, which is...
I believe it's Rich Bar 17.
There you go.
2 R's? 1 R.
1 R. Rich Bar. Yeah, 17. Yeah.
17. Okay.
Go have a look at the caribou photo.
Yeah, it's there somewhere.
Awesome.
Put a lot of stuff on there.
That's wicked. We were only talking the other day with Zach about the exchanging of hunts in the modern era, but it was a thing back in the 90s as well, before social media, which is quite interesting to know.
Way to make us feel old when you're like, oh, the 90s not the modern era anymore. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I just had a little flashback to...
Well, we used to do that.
Yeah, I'm struggling, mate.
You'll be right.
We used to do that here, though. Like, people from Victoria would very often, take guys out from South Australia out for a sambar, and we, sort them out with some fallow and stuff like that. So it's been happening a little bit, but that was one of the most amazing things I've done. So,
excellent. That's unbelievable. And you were a guide once upon a time, I believe?
Yes, I was. I was very green, but so to get some context into it, you might have heard of Tom Brinkworth from the southeast. He's passed away now. So in the 80s, he started his wetlands and conservation thing, wetlands and wildlife, and he used to do these huge duck hunts on his property. And by chance, my father was invited to Tom's and my father's mutual friend to their place for dinner. And Tom said to my dad, come hunt ducks with us. And that's how I started off hunting. My dad used to take me to the duck swamps when I was just a little fella. He used to carry me in and sit me on a log, and I just sniffed the cartridges, and I loved it. Oh, it was fantastic.
No wonder you hooked.
I loved it, yeah. And so Dad then organised a trip, and myself and my dad and a couple of my cousins, we went down. And we used to go regularly to Brinky's place in the southeast to hunt ducks in the season. Yeah. To be honest, I can't call it hunting ducks, because you just stand there and they just fly and you just shoot them. It's a shoot. It's a duck shoot. Yeah. Whereas previous to that, we would actually hunt them. We'd set up a hide and set the decoys up and learn all the calls, and so that's hunting. But this was a lot of fun. And anyway, my friend, have you heard of Nigel from Veteran Hunts? Nigel?
Can't say I have, no.
Okay.
I have now.
Yeah. So he and I were very friendly back in the 80s, and still are. But we decided we'd form a little business, and we called ourselves Australian Game Safaris back in the... And we were actually the first people to guide clients on Water Valley.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
In fact, even before all the fences were up. So we did it for...
Water Valley's the property is down southeast of Adelaide, is
correct.
Down southeast.
Yes.
And that's, with Tom Brinkworth's property sort of set up. And
it's a game ranch.
Yeah, it's a game ranch. And it still operates today, doesn't it?
Still operates today, yes. When we started, he had 64,000 acres under wire. And I always remember him telling my dad that it cost him $1 million for just the fencing for the 64,000 acres. And he's increased it, he's added areas, and it's huge now. It's much bigger than that. But we did it for 2 full years, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But you know, I had young children. I mean, I had 2 babies, and you know, and a business to run, and it was more of a itch to scratch, if I can put it that way. And we thoroughly enjoyed it. I have, to this day, from the 90s, I have people that I guided in the 90s still friendly with me, and they still come over to Adelaide and have a chat. And I guided people from the US, from San Francisco, and from Denmark. And
oh, wow. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so
That's
it was a
interesting.
great experience. Met some wonderful people.
And what were you hunting when you're guiding?
So it was all deer. So Tom at that stage he even had hog deer on the place, but he even had black buck, and they didn't last very long.
Okay.
So we had people, basically, red deer were the most popular.
Yep.
Cheetal were very popular as well. So, you know, Rusa became quite popular. So, yeah.
With the hog deer, they didn't last long, just didn't deal with the climate, or?
Yeah, he didn't have the most suitable habitat for them at that time.
Yep.
He could have. I don't know that he was that interested. Tom was primarily a grazier.
Yep.
And so he had more farming outlooks rather than trophy potential outlooks at that time, you know. So I'm not sure that he was that interested in
making the habitat.
Yes, even the black buck, it was just too cold for them. They had no shelter.
Yep.
They just died. You know,
Yeah, what a shame.
Yeah, very shame. It's one of my guys, again, I'm quite friendly with him still. He shot I believe, the only black buck off that place back in '94, I think.
Far out.
Wow.
There you go. I was 3 years old. just to show my
Surprised
age.
you were still born. You were actually born then.
Yeah, there you go.
What calibers, what cartridges and guns were being used sort of through those hunts?
The guys who were from Victoria tended to have 30.06s and 300s.
Okay. Yep.
There were other guys, 270 was quite popular. Nick Harvey really made 270 popular
You're shaking your head, Maxwell.
No,
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 not
at all.
I would shake my head too. Each to their own. Each to their own. But I'm not a huge 270 fan, but anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sure people don't like most of my calibers. Yeah. But, 30.06 300s.
Yep.
The overseas guys typically bought 300s.
Yep.
You know.
Win mags, I assume?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, factory loads. And,
Yep.
you know, we had a few very interesting experiences with guys. One guy came from Victoria, and he'd been everywhere. He'd been to New Caledonia, Africa, he'd been to Alaska, and he bought a 270.
Yeah.
You know? And we were glassing this fallow buck. He wasn't very far. And this is in the days, Rusty, we didn't even have rangefinders, you know. So he asked me how far I thought, and I said, 150. You know. He said, okay. So we were waiting because he was sitting down, and I said, look, just wait. He'll stand up. Just wait. We were sort of dozing, and sure enough, he stood up, and the guy shot. He was a beautiful deer. He shot, clean miss, you know, and the deer was kind of confused because of the echoing.
Yeah.
He just stood there for a minute, said, shoot again, missed again. Anyway, he said, can we pace that out? So I paced it out, and it was, I mean, I'm not very tall, but it was about 160 of my normal pace, not Elon. And he said, I could have sworn that it was about 250. So he held on its spine.
Oh, wow.
He didn't believe me. Right?
Yeah, right.
I've had plenty of people do that. I'm like, just hold a little bit high on it. And I see the shot go way over the top. I'm like, where did you hold? He's like, about a foot off the back. And I'm like, I said hold a little height on the deer, not over the deer, not a little, like not...
A little bit high, a metre above it.
Yeah. It's just in case it jumps.
Yeah.
Jumps into the shot.
Unbelievable.
But you know, the funny thing with this guy, what he didn't tell me, so the day before he shot quite a nice red deer, right? He was using 150 grain factory projectiles in his 270 for the red deer. He changed. So so for the fella, he started using 130 grainers, and you know, Didn't tell me.
Yeah. So it's going high already.
Oh, absolutely. So it was just interesting little things like that you got to kind of bite your tongue, and say, don't worry, we'll find another one.
Wow, yeah.
But look, in general, the people I guided, they were just lovely people, just happy to learn and, interested, just chatting at night time. And do you know Nick Harvey? Or have you heard of Nick Harvey?
I've met
Ruskin?
Nick, yeah.
So Nick came with us.
Yep.
He wrote us up in the Australian Sporting Shooter magazine.
Yep.
The deer we got with him was on the front cover back then, and lovely man. Oh, like you could just sit and listen to him all night because he was a bit of a rogue. I'll just tell you. Mm-hmm. He had quite a few wives, and not at the same time.
I was going to that's my next question. At the same time,
a lot of stories then.
Yeah. Oh, look, seriously, he was, I'll just tell you, I'm an Indian background. He used to call me Ming the Manipulator. so my profession is a physio.
Right, okay.
So he used to call me Ming the Manipulator. That's what he used to call me for decades. But he was great. He was a lot of fun.
That's funny. Absolutely classic.
Very good. And how long would you, like when you took people out guiding, how long were you?
Typically 4 days.
4 days, okay.
I wouldn't like to do it less than 3 days, but 4 days was a perfect time. If they wanted, like one guy came from San Francisco, and he wanted a fallow, a cheddar, a red, yes, those three, and he got them all. So he stayed for 5 days. Sorry, and a hog, but we didn't get him a hog. I wouldn't let him shoot a hog deer because even back then I think he wanted $3,000 for them. And the best one we saw was about an 11-incher, which was quite thin. Okay. I couldn't let him spend $3,000 on that, so I just wouldn't let him shoot it. And he was quite happy, you know. Yeah. But he came back several times. And fascinatingly, I'm going to say 2015, I used to be in contact with him regularly. And in 2015, he asked me if he could bring his grandson.
Oh wow!
He paid his grandson. So Steve, myself, and my friend Dwayne from Aussie. He got a fallow, a cheddar, a rooster, and a red deer. And so back in the 90s, it was quite common for me to have two hunters. I'd have two, and especially this time of year, we'd come back. We'd still be hunting, at this time.
Yeah. Two hunters that would know each other, or just
usually mates or brothers or something like that, or husband and wife even. Mm-hmm. And then, we'd come back. We'd have to cook. It's dark now. It's like 9 o'clock. Have to cook their dinner. Stay up drinking with them. They go to bed, and then I'm finishing caping and salting, clean up, and somewhere around 12:30, I'm hitting the sack, and then 4 o'clock we're up again. Yeah. And that was there were times Nigel had 4 between us,
Wow.
Anyway, so this kid comes over in 2015 with his granddad. So there's 3 of us with him. It took me a week to get over that hunt. I was knackered. And then I realised, I don't know if I want to do this.
Yeah. I was getting tired of listening to you talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that sounds a bit extreme.
But you've got to be upbeat all the time too, because
they're paying. They're not just paying for the hunt. They're paying for an experience.
Correct. Exactly right. And I mean, we enjoyed it. We sort of try to make it fun for them, and the best people actually were absolute novices or women because they just do what you say. Yeah. There's no ego involved. There's no, I think I should do this. It's just lie there,
hold a foot over the back.
Just do this, and they do it. It's excellent.
I used to take people out on shooting experiences, go out, like bucks parties or this sort of thing. And we would often get people on a date. And so they'd come out, and I'd give them the safety rundown. And at the end of it, if it was a guy and a girl, I'd say, and she'll outshoot you. And the guy would just look at me and sort of, the girl would be like, whoa, hang on, what am I up for? And the guy would be like, well, why do you say that? And I said, because she will listen to what I'm going to suggest her to do, and you will just go and do your own thing. Yep. And it always resulted in one or two things. Either she would outshoot him, and I'd be like, yeah, see, I told you. Or he would outshoot her and be like, so you actually listened to me. But no matter which way it went, they would always, the guy would then be like, well, maybe I'll listen to this guy, so actually can outshoot.
Win-win.
For me, it was really good buy-in from them. Yeah. But every time I remember their reaction, they'd be like, why do you say that? Like if you don't listen to me, she will outshoot you every single time.
It's fascinating.
There's a good chance she'll outshoot you anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's great.
Win-win.
It was good fun. Of course, if he was really not paying attention, you'd make sure she won.
A few blanks in his gun.
The Bucks parties, we would do that.
Is that right? Yeah.
You'd
see the flinch.
So you'd get the buck up first, and everyone would have like 10 practice shots or something. You'd go through and he'd shoot his 10, and then you'd put him aside and go through everyone else. And then you get to the end, like, okay, guys, we're gonna have a competition now. You've all shot 10, and everyone's hit something, and then you'd be like, oh, you're the buck, so you get through to the final. So you'd put everyone at like head to head and end up with sort of one person and the buck. And I always checked it with the best man prior, be like, do you want to give him blanks at the end, or do you what do you want to do? Like, the guy, is he going to be okay with that? Yeah. So, and because they haven't shot for maybe an hour at this point, because they were the first with a gun in their hands, and now they're right at the end of the session, and they'd come up and you put a blank in there and they'd shoot, and I said that the condition was, one, as the best man, you're approving me doing this, and secondly, you tell everyone else without him knowing.
Yeah.
And so they, of course, the crowd, 5 or 6 or 10 guys that are there, are all like ribbing him, saying, you can't hit one. And if he was decent and was hitting them through the practice, I'd like every now and then, I'd be like, oh, just maybe try hold it this way and get him to tweak something slightly, put a live one in, and shoot, hit him like, oh man, you're not listening to me. Go back to blanks. And then I'd always take one of the shells that would be stamped blank on it, and I'd give that to the best man secretly and be like, all right, you show him at some point tonight when you think he's had enough drinks to reveal why he lost the competition.
In general, they take it all right? They
didn't hear from him, so I think they did.
No complaints came back.
No complaints. Of course, everyone else are there. The guys were just loving it.
Yeah.
The fact that this guy couldn't hit a thing. So
we used to get a few bucks parties at the gun club. You know the one that I took you to.
Yep.
At SA Gun Club.
Oh yeah.
Gun Club. Yeah, used to get a few bucks parties coming through there. So.
Yeah, it's a good little club to shoot at every now and again.
Yeah.
We'll have to get out for a shoot soon.
I haven't been for a little while.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
Time is very hard to come by.
Yes.
I haven't been out there for, must be, 10 plus years.
The SA Gun Club.
Time,
you wouldn't have seen any changes. Next time you go, it's the same. It hasn't changed.
Yep.
It's.
I enjoyed it. Times we
Look,
it is.
It's a lot of fun. They're quite laid back. I was on the committee there for a while, and I'm not anymore.
Club committees are always challenging, right? You serve your time for a while.
Try and make the changes you want to see, and
yes, change is hard. Not everyone wants changes, but
definitely.
Sometimes you've got to be able to sit back and say, well, I think this is the best for the club, and just do it. But not everyone can do that.
And so outside of the hunting side of things, you've done, obviously shotgun shooting, if you're talking about SAGC.
That's how I started hunting, actually, was duck hunting was the first.
Oh, okay, that was the connection.
My dad actually, he hired, when he thought I was old enough, he hired me a 410, which was one of the old 2-inch cartridge. It wasn't going to kill a duck, but I just felt good holding it. And then that night we went spotlighting and I shot a mess of rabbits with it, which made me feel good. And then he actually bought me a 20 gauge, which I loved. It was, seriously, this is in the mid-early 70s, so it was an old Bentley side-by-side.
Yeah, wicked.
20 gauge, and I loved that gun. I had it for quite a while, and I sold it to get an SKB semi-auto.
Okay.
That was terrible. Yeah, it was
terrible.
Decision. It used to gum up, and I used to have to carry a little bottle of graphite for me and strip it down and clean the, just the spring would just get gummed up with.
How many shots do you reckon you'd get out with it?
Oh, look, you would get perhaps so it was a 5-shot. Yeah. You would probably get 3 changes and then it would just jam up.
Yeah, right. So
you don't say 3 shots.
No.
It's a 5-shot and you can get 3 shots out of it. It's not good odds, but even 15 shots isn't that great.
No.
What were you mainly hunting for with that?
Just ducks.
Just ducks,
Just ducks, we used to, so again, my old man was a GP and he got friendly with a guy who had a shack in Blanchetown. And again, when I was just a very little boy, we were there, and a local property owner, their gas oven blew up and his daughter got burnt on her shoulder and neck. So they knew Dad was there, so they asked him to come up, and the guy was so thankful. He said, anytime you want to shoot ducks? Yeah, absolutely. So interestingly, in those days, this is just out of Blanchetown, or just near the town, it was legal to channel water from the Murray into your property. So he dug a channel that would have been 10 feet wide and no more than 6 or 7 feet deep, and he filled up 2 swamps north and south of his house where we used to shoot ducks. And the old man used to also, he had a large gill net, and he would net across the mouth of the channel, and we used to get some huge fish, some huge callop, and I mean it was legal back then.
Yeah, back then,
But, interestingly, so we hadn't been out from India long, I'm guessing, and we were camping, and my mum and I just couldn't be bothered getting up early to shoot ducks, so he just went out himself, and he came back all flustered and excited, and he'd never seen a mountain duck. Right? Yeah. You know the mountain duck?
Yeah, like the big yellow band around the neck.
Yes, yes, they honk. They honk like a... And this flock came, he thought they were geese, so he got quite excited. And he shot one, and it was wounded, so he waded into the swamp to get it, and it disappeared under the water. But weirdly, it didn't dive, it sort of like went straight down, popped up again, so he was going to shoot it, and it just disappeared again. And he automatically thought the crocodiles from India, and then he realised, no, there's no crocodiles here. So he came out and he was telling us. So on our way out, we told the property owner, and oh my God, did he take the piss out of my dad? Yeah, sure, Doc, crocodiles in the swamp. Yeah, it was a crocodile. Anyway, we hadn't been, a couple of months later, we came back, and as we were coming through, we knocked on the door saying we're here, and he said, come in. It, had those big old country kitchens with the big wooden table. And on the table there was a cod that would have been about 5 foot long. Its mouth was like this big, and they netted it in that swamp. So they're fairly sure that's what took the duck.
Was taking the duck.
Wow, crocodiles.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It was huge. Mouth was seriously like,
Yeah, the Murray cod were I've never caught anything that big. I've got a few on my dam at home, and all my family's from the Riverland. So I've done a lot of trawling whenever I was up there as a young fella, and I've never managed to catch one out of the Murray.
I've seen some big ones in the high country.
Yep.
So, well, when I say I've seen their jaws, a guy I used to know from Mansfield, in the cold water, they used to catch up. 70 pounds was the biggest. 30 odd kilos. It's the biggest one he's ever caught. Yeah,
they're an unreal fish. They're very cool.
I've never tasted one. Have you?
No.
I've never eaten one.
Pretty much the whole time. I might have when I was younger, but not that I can remember. Not really.
What part of the Riverland are your family from?
It's Renmark.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
That's the second place we started duck hunting was in Renmark.
It's good area. Love the Riverland. So don't get out there near enough anymore. But
no. Yeah, I love it too.
We'll have to take up duck hunting, I reckon.
Duck hunting's great fun. It's just...
Seems quite the experience, like the whole sort of go around and then get out there, put your decoys out, do the whole sort of, the whole bit. Yeah, I like it. I find it quite exciting. I mean, I like all hunting. Is there like a hunt you'd love to do, sort of the pinnacle hunt, that if you had unlimited budget, unlimited contacts?
Well, yes.
Yeah?
Bighorn sheep is always fascinated me. I love a black bear.
Okay.
I'm not that fussed with the brown bears, quite apart from the fact they're ridiculously expensive. Yeah. But black bear hunting fascinates me. And, have you ever watched Meat Eater?
Yeah, black bears are pretty high on my list.
Yeah, and they're delicious. Everyone says they're delicious to eat. So,
and where would you go for that?
I don't know. No? I was looking at Maine. British Columbia used to be the be-all and end-all. Alberta's quite good.
Okay.
But it'd have to be somewhere in Canada. But Maine, you can even hunt Shiras moose in Maine. Sure, they're not going to be a big 50-inch Canadian moose, but who cares?
It's still going to be huge compared to anything
absolutely,
you have mounted from Australia.
But that would be a nice experience. I wouldn't mind that.
Right.
But yeah,
you could put it next to your hog deer and make it look extra big.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I think bear would be nice. Of the doable things.
Yep.
You know. So,
what's the non-doable things?
Oh well, bighorn sheep would be.
Okay.
I just. Yeah. A horseback elk hunt would be kind of cool.
Horseback elk?
Yeah. You know, they pack in with horses and it's just the picturesque nature of it. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Have you seen the people recently using pack goats?
I have.
That's quite interesting.
I know. And they're amazing. Because when you raise them as kids, they just follow you anyway. You don't have to tether them at night time, and they're strong as.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've been seeing that pop up a fair bit on social media recently. These people just have these goats and they take them out and they get their little orange jackets and put all their gear on them and they just follow them up the mountain.
I think this guy in New Zealand who's doing that too.
I think so. Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, it's very smart.
We should get one for when we finish the podcast and have to take everything back upstairs. We should just have one sitting over here.
Just a goat.
Just a goat that we can put all the sound
in the middle of
equipment,
Adelaide.
cameras, and they just not even middle of Adelaide, just over there, like literally.
There is a little bit of grass outside.
Yeah, true. Out the back. Yeah, we've got an area out the back, and and then at the end of the podcast, we load it all up, and it can go upstairs and dump all the stuff up for Josh to unpack tomorrow.
Perfect.
Get on
you
to
can
that.
clean up the goat crap as well.
Good idea. Good idea. So we have a question that we ask all our guests.
Yeah.
And so you've just been out, imagine the scenario, you've been out hunting black bear and you've come back to the cabin, right? You've had a successful day, put your guns away, put everything away, and you walk up to the bar that's in this cabin and anything is on the bar. What are you grabbing?
Okay.
I like how seriously he's taking this. Yeah.
It's really
good.
let the questions sink in.
I like it.
I have kind of been offered this when we were in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
And we were too embarrassed to ask for anything really expensive. Because guys said, anything here you can have. Yeah. We thought, and so I think we chose a middle of the range Scotch or something. But we were too embarrassed. But I think my favourite Scotch is the Dalmore. I really enjoy. I've got a couple of bottles of Dalmore. Probably the Dalmore, one of the Dalmores. Port blend, or I've got a cigar malt.
Wow, sounds good.
That's delicious.
And how do you have your Scotch?
Oh, just nothing. Just with that quality Scotch, just neat.
Just neat. Yeah. No ice.
My boys and I have a nip of that every Christmas, and that's when it comes out. I've just had my first granddaughter born 8 months ago, and I bought her dad, my son, I bought him a bottle of it, so that every birthday of hers, we have a little same. Except I've got two other sons, so I'm going to have to buy another couple. Yes.
You just buy it by the carton.
Yeah, I know. But so that probably would be it. What about you?
That's a great answer. That's great. It was far better than my answer. It was, I think I'm still on the American honey.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah.
I've got a bottle of that at home.
Yeah, as do I.
You just drink it straight? Or do you? Yeah.
So keep it in the freezer?
Yeah.
In fact, Josh messaged me yesterday saying, I'm back on the American honey in the freezer train. Why did I ever leave? Why did I ever leave? This is great. You're back, and even if it's a cold night, sitting in front of a fire with a nice cold drink.
I might have to pick a bottle up on the way home. Really talking it up.
Okay. What about you, Maxwell?
Me, I'm on the CC and dry train.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That would be your go-to and
We've really dropped the quality of
I do.
That's good. It's down to earth. I like that.
I like a good gin or a good Scotch generally, but
do you mix your gins too?
Just tonic.
Just tonic, yeah.
Just tonic.
Yeah, my partner, she loves her gin. I mean, summertime, she won't drink it in winter.
Yeah,
but I quite like gin neat too. I quite enjoy the flavour of it.
There's some good quality gins out there nowadays, like a lot of the boutique distilleries and stuff. Yeah. There's so many different ones to try. And every time you go somewhere, you got to buy a new bottle. You go to a pub or something, you're like, I haven't seen that bottle before, I'll try it, and you're like, that was good, I'm going to have to get a bottle.
What about port? Do you Do like a port
Port's
around
great.
the fire.
Yeah, port is good.
The campfire. Yeah.
In fact, that's something we're going to have to get here, Maxwell. We haven't sat around. I mean, it's still
still
it's
summer.
still a bit warm.
Yeah.
So
Give it a couple of months.
Yeah,
By
once we-
episode 10 maybe.
yeah, episode maybe 11 we'll have
11?
a port.
11?
Yeah,
Right.
because port's great, and that's the one we would often. So we used to run long range training courses.
Oh, yeah?
And they would be over multiple nights, and so we would often sit by the fire at night, and American honey would come out sometimes, but port was a common one, and that's a great.
Very easy to overdo it too.
Very easy to overdo it. Very easy to enjoy.
It's beautiful. So again, you wouldn't know this. You might know. When I was a lot younger, there was. You can still get it. It's
Good to know.
not a cinnamon whiskey. It's for heaven's sakes, I've got a mental blank. But the cinnamon whiskies are nice.
Cinnamon
Fireball.
whiskey.
So I like Fireball.
Yeah, Fireball.
Yeah.
I like
They're
my Fireball.
lovely. Yeah.
Fireball and apple juice.
No, just
Fire. What's this apple juice junk?
I like it with apple juice. Fireball. It's good.
No, I've never had it with apple juice.
Haven't you? Give it a go.
We used to. Fireballs were banned. Actually, Fireball was banned from Friday nights of gun shows. So we would go to Melbourne to be at the Shot Expo or the Hunt Expo, whatever shows it was, and we had developed a rule that Friday nights no Fireball, right? Because normally Friday night Fireball night, right? That makes sense. But you at a gun show when they're an intense day, Max. You've worked
Yeah,
along
I've been
with
there.
me.
It's a lot.
The Saturday especially, the first day is the big day, and that's where most people are, and that was always a big day. You need to be in good shape for that. Now, you could go and have a good night Saturday night and go out and sort of recover Sunday. It was always a bit quieter. You'd sort of work your way through it and you'd survive. If you went out Friday night and made a big night of Friday night,
Absolutely.
you'd have to back it up for 2 days in a row.
Yep.
And Saturday always being the most intense one. So we made a rule that you would no Fireball on Friday night. And we were one time we were over there, I can't remember what show it was in Melbourne, and a friend of mine, who's her first show, she was helping, and we went to the pub Friday night, and I said to her, no Fireball. If anyone offers you Fireball tonight, no Fireball. She's like, why is that? I'm like, trust me on this one, but don't do Fireball. Anyway, we were there for a few drinks with a bunch of people that were helping him with the show, and one of the guys popped up, he's like, who wants Fireball shots? And I've gone, no thanks, man, no thanks. And she's like, I'm in.
Oh dear.
She regretted it the entire weekend. It was not, it did not go to plan for
A lot
her.
of bad influences at firearm shows.
Yeah, especially on the Friday night, it seems.
But a Friday night, like it's, because you're there, you've been looking forward to it all week, and you're there. It's kind of like let your hair down kind of thing.
Yeah,
I can get it. I understand.
If you're going to the show, go for it.
Yes.
If you're working at the
Correct.
show,
You want to be careful.
hold off till the Saturday.
Absolutely.
The Saturday nights were always...
Have you had green ginger wine?
Green
Yes.
ginger wine.
Yeah.
I
So
have
that's
not.
another nice winter one around the campfire.
Good choice.
Very nice. Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Do you like ginger?
Yeah.
Well, it's like Fireball, but
You like
ginger.
Plushy when he was here?
Yeah, right.
You like Plushy when he was here last night? No, you don't like him?
Not that kind of ginger.
Oh, okay, not into that kind of ginger.
Like the plant ginger, sure, but like Garfield, no.
We're starting to build a collection of drinks we're going to have to start introducing into the show come winter time, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Moscato, not Moscato, that's what my wife drinks. Muscat.
Muscat's nice. Yeah. I like a
great
muscat
option.
too. Yeah.
That or port. Muscat's a little bit sweeter, I think, than port.
Yeah.
But yeah, sort of like me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So yeah, big fan of that. Yeah, we're starting to get a list.
Yeah, we're getting a good list
Getting this
going.
list
It's
for
going to be
winter.
a good couple of episodes, that's for sure.
Spot on.
One of my clients kindly bought me. So just get a bit of context. I do work in Elizabeth.
Yep.
Okay. So I get offered and I get brought all sorts of interesting presents.
Interesting.
Right.
One of my clients bought me this flagon of port that he bought in bulk from somewhere. And it was in a plastic jug, like
I
this
thought you were going
big
to say a
5
plastic
litres.
bag then.
And I was going hunting, and so Josh from Send It Mate,
Yep.
he
we know
refused to
Josh
drink
well.
it. He refused to drink it. He said, are we going to go blind if we drink this? And I said, I truly don't know. Do you know that first night half that jug went? Yeah, they couldn't stop drinking it. It was actually really quite nice. For, it probably cost them $3.
You don't have to spend a lot of money to get a good port, though.
No, you don't.
That's true. That's true. You can get good port for not.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to ask you before, because we talked about the cartridges that we used.
Yep.
And then we got into 270s, and you were bagging out 270s. We were all bagging out 270s, and then you said you've got probably cartridges that people won't like as well. So, what are you shooting now? What's your sort of main go-to?
Currently?
Yeah.
So for deer, look, I would truthfully say over the last 7 or 8, probably 10 years, I've probably shot more deer with my 223 Ackley than anything else.
Right. Okay? Yeah. Okay.
In the ADA, they don't like people. It's a law. It's a rule. You can't use less than a 243 for fallow or cheadle.
Okay.
But out of the ADA, I've shot more deer with. So I stress, I'm not encouraging anyone to go out with, a varmint 223 with varmint bullets and shoot deer, because mine's an Ackley improved. I'm shooting 75 grain AMAXs, and seriously, their penetration is fantastic. So under those situations,
it's a purpose-built gun for the
correct.
job.
I haven't shot anything smaller than a goat with it. Jerome Zersch built it for himself, and he built it for his. I think he was doing F class at the time.
Okay.
And then he sold it to me because he just wanted to prove that he could build it. He said to me his brother said he couldn't build it, so he built it. And so then he didn't want it and he sold it to me. And I've modified it a little bit over the time with different stocks. So I've probably shot more deer with the 223 Ackley.
Mostly fallow or reds as well?
Yeah. Look, I hasten to say this because I don't want people to think that it's okay to do this, but I mean, I've even seen, not with my gun, but with another 223 Ackley, I've seen people shoot a Samba Spikey in South Australia, not Victoria.
Yep.
Okay. And it dropped it dead.
Yep.
Will they come down to projectile choice and shot placement?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like an experienced hunter who knows exactly where the bullet needs to be placed and can
not
place it
taking
there.
a shot if if it's not in the right position.
You're not stable or something like that. Yeah.
I currently, then I've got a 257 Weatherby.
Oh yes, yep.
Jerome built that as well for me. When we were in Africa, I was using a 3006, and I said to Steve, I really want a 257, and so Jerome was able to lengthen the bolt and open it up a little bit, and that 3006 became my 257 Weatherby, and it's currently going under a little bit of a rebirth again. So then I've got a 280 Ackley again. That's
they're a great gun.
Yes. So mine's a Kimber.
Okay. Yep.
The Mountain Ascent. So it's a very light gun. So
I'm sure you know the history of Kimber, the brand.
Yes.
Named after a town in South Australia?
I did hear that, but yeah.
Yep.
So they're not making rifles anymore, haven't been for a little while. They're just...
I mean, obviously it's over in the US, but the guy was from Kimber.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. There you go.
That's where the name came from.
Fine firearms. They started off with handguns, didn't they?
Don't know. Yeah,
I believe they started off, and then they brought in their Model 84, 85. It was timber stocked and lovely rifles. And I've got their Model 22 as well, the Kimber 22. Yeah, that's a lovely rifle.
Yeah, right. They're always very nice guns.
And I did have a 300 for quite a while, but I sold that. I've sold several rifles, but I've just recently got a 243 because I didn't
shaking your head,
I
Maxwell.
know, right?
Selling rifles is just...
I know.
It can't lead to anything good.
Yeah.
Buying more rifles.
Buying more rifles.
Could lead to that.
It leads to great things. Yeah.
You've changed very quickly.
No. Selling rifles is bad. Buying rifles is good.
Yeah.
One can lead to the other, though, Maxwell. Yeah,
it can.
It can.
But you're right.
But you're still down a rifle.
Yes, I know.
Okay. Selling rifles to buy multiples. Is that better? Is that me? You recently bought a new gun. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. Yeah.
I had a hankering for a 6mm. And I had this weird obsession that I wanted to be the first person in the world to have a BLR and 6 Creed. And no one would touch it. No one would look at it. Jerome looked at me and laughed.
Yeah,
said,
right.
no, he's not going to do it. So one of the nicest things that I can remember happened to me last year, my friends that I go hunting with got together and bought me a Tikka T3 in a fast twist 243.
Yeah, right.
So I could shoot the 108 grainers. And they presented to me at a dinner we had. I was blown away. It was just one of the nicest things anyone's done to me.
That is excellent.
So that just, and again, the first animal I've ever actually pointed it at was the hog deer that
really?
I hunted in earlier this year. Excellent. And the only time I fired it was at an animal. Fucking range.
Yeah,
it was at the hog deer. It's fired one shot at an animal, and I got my hog deer with that rifle. Yeah.
Right. Oh, fantastic.
Interestingly, Jacob was telling me that it's possible to set the barrel back a little bit and have it rechambered to 6 Creed, which would be really, really handy because then I won't even have to reload.
Get that really expensive factory ammo.
Yep. Well, I mean,
I've got a 6 Creed on the way, and I looked at the price of factory ammo and I was like, yep, I think I'll be reloading for this.
$70 or $80 a box.
About.
Have you seen the 257? It's like it's like $8 or $10 a cartridge.
I reload for everything I have.
Yeah, I know.
And every time I go to the gun shop and look at the price of ammo, I remember why.
I haven't. I've got a 338 Lapua, and I have not. I haven't looked at the price of ammo for that for a long time. I don't think I'd like to.
I reckon I've shot one of those.
It's a lot better when you're just buying little bits and pieces here and there, and you just like, you just pile it together, and you're like, this cost me nothing.
Speaking of costing you nothing, what have you just bought, Maxwell?
That cost me a lot. A little conversation we had not long ago here about air rifles has...
Yeah, I was looking at one, and now you've gone and bought something.
I have.
And I haven't.
You've piqued my interest in air rifles again, and I went looking, and I've got a fair bit of work for it, so I thought I will upgrade my air rifle. And jumped online, and I was having a bit of look, and the M4 Impact caught my eye. Well, it didn't caught my eye, it was the first thing I searched. And then I saw stocks were limited, and they might not be restocking till later in the year, so I thought I'd better jump on that.
Okay.
So I rang the local gun shop. I was like, do you have one of these? And they said yes. And I said, I'll be there in 30 minutes to put a deposit on it. So I have a FX Impact Mark IV.
Very good. And you had a Mark II previously.
I had a Mark II previously, so a big jump. I looked at the specs and all the add extras. It's not much over the M3s. There's a few little upgrades.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely
what caliber
worth the buy.
Did you send?
22 cal. 22 cal air rifle. Yeah. So I use it a lot for pigeon work.
What range would you shoot that out to?
20 metres. But it depends. You can set them up quite well to shoot out to distance.
Yep.
And the South African guys are well known for shooting pigeons at extended ranges, sort of 300 metres.
Oh wow! With the setup that you like a Mark.
With the Mark, even with the Mark IIs back in the day, they were doing it, but we set up for the slugs.
Okay.
Instead of the pellets.
Yep.
And they just high powered and pump out those pellet slugs and push them through and get them out to distance. But like the places they're shooting on are just big chicken farms or stuff like that, and there's just thousands of birds everywhere. So it's quite interesting to watch. Yeah, exactly. If only.
If only.
So yep, Mark IV on the way.
Okay.
PTAs are taking 5 to 7 weeks in South Australia right now. So,
wow.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So you'll have to wait a little bit to borrow my Mark II.
Yeah, you've offered to lend me your Mark II for a little while I play with air rifles and work out if that's going to suit what I want to do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll suit what you want to do.
I think it will, yeah.
You may not have... Were you asked to justify the purpose of use of all your existing firearms?
I have been, not for my air rifle, but for a 6 Creed that I have a PTA
they
in for.
Asked you for all the... Yep.
And then they also replied to that email and told me why can't I use the ones that I have. So I had to write an even more longer detailed explanation of why.
Yep.
Yes, it is getting tight.
Yep.
Even with genuine reasoning, they seem to still think that what you have is enough.
Yeah. Wow.
So you've had the same thing recently?
Not yet, but
you've heard of it happening.
I I want a 7 PRC.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And I've already got a 280. See, now I'm kind of hoping they'll look at 287, they won't tie it in together. That's still 7 mil.
Definitely different.
You can, you can certainly show like different types of firearms,
Yes,
even if they're similar calibers, can achieve very different things.
Yeah, very,
Oh,
very
true.
different results.
Yeah.
So
It's like comparing your 223 Ackley and you wanted a second 223 Ackley. You have one with a 1 in 12 twist and one with a 1 in 8.
We know this.
Yes.
But
It's
communicating it.
communicating it and putting it on paper is difficult,
I know.
which I found out with my first letter to them.
Good. So any hunts planned for this year or next?
Well, I've got a hunt in a couple of weeks with the mates. We're just going up to one of the ADA properties.
Yeah.
That's just a lot of fun.
Fallow rut.
Just it's pre-rut, and then at some point this year we'll be heading up to the high country. There's we want to do we're on a week-long samba hunt.
Oh, yeah, brilliant.
We're just not exactly sure when we'll do that.
And are you hiking for those? Is all sort of on foot,
So
or?
there's a base camp that we get to and we'll set up there, and then we can spike out if we want to from there.
Yeah,
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
Do you generally hunt solo when you go out on those trips? Like one of you heads up one gully, one heads up the other, or are you heading out in pairs?
So COVID really messed us up, and I haven't been up to the high country since COVID.
Yep.
But yes, that's what generally we would do. We would hike in somewhere and set up camp, and then each day we would all go somewhere else.
Yep. Yeah,
Come
perfect.
back and
come back and
compare
meet,
notes.
or
Yeah.
hear a shot and start walking over to find who got something.
No, I'll leave it to them.
And do their
They're
thing.
big boys.
Yeah.
No, yes,
can handle
if it's close, of course.
Yeah.
If it's close. But we generally, if we're out at that time where we were, we actually hiked in probably, I think it was 8 or 10 kilometres.
Oh, wow.
So we made a pact that we wouldn't shoot anything unless it was a stag
Yep.
while we were there. On the way back, because the meat would have just spoiled.
Yeah.
So on the way back, Dwayne shot a hind and we shared it with me.
Yeah.
But while we were there in the
in
middle of
the
nowhere,
deep
we thought there's
country,
no
yeah.
point in just killing.
Do you
something.
carry any GPSs or anything like that?
Yep, I do. I do. Yes.
Yeah. What sort? Just
I've got an
curious.
old Garmin, and I can't remember. It's so old. It's I can't even remember what it is now because I haven't used. Sits on my webbing off my pack. But I use HuntStand quite a lot, and I download areas from on HuntStand on my phone.
Yep.
So the ADA's got an actual app so that we can. All our properties are on HuntStand, so all the locations are mapped. The hut's smart, so I can then wherever I'm going, I can download that map for that area.
So that's the Australian Deer Association, and you're a part of the Southeast branch?
I am, yes.
Yep. Excellent, yeah. You've been a member for there long, I assume? A long time?
I was just calling him old, Maxwell. Is that what you're getting at?
No, I haven't. Only about 4 years, but I
interesting.
was a member of the Adelaide branch back in the 1980s.
Yep.
And and I didn't want to be a member anymore, so I just did my own thing for many years.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then
I was a member of the Adelaide branch for a number of years.
you're right.
Briefly a president.
I'm sure it's. You were president, weren't you?
Yeah, for about a year.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But you're not anymore.
No.
Yeah, well.
No, it's been a few years. I moved out of Adelaide about an hour away, so I
Yeah.
just didn't have the time anymore.
It's kind of nice to give back something. It's not. Yes, they've got some really lovely properties and some nice facilities. Each property's got a hut you can stay in, and it's comfortable if it's pissing down with rain. And, it's nice to come in and there's a combustion heater there. And,
Definitely.
so there's nice aspects, and almost everyone I've met there, I've never met anyone that's not very nice.
All great people.
Very nice
But
people.
A lot of politics and a lot of...
So we're battling with the landscape board
Yep.
down there with the helicopter culling.
Yeah, right, okay.
So we've got a few issues going on there. We've got some very capable people handling all of that. But, we had a meeting. We had a meeting with one of the guys from the landscape board in February, and he gave us quite a bit of information as to what they're doing and why they're doing it. But, I think we all know that it's a hiding to nothing. We're not going to eradicate the deer.
Yeah. There's always going to be deer on the landscape. They'll just be minimised numbers.
They'll minimise, they'll reduce the numbers, but they'll bounce back.
Yeah.
You know, then we'll have a change of government or change of minister, and there'll be lack of funding, and the cycle will go on. You know, so
continue on.
Yeah.
Well, my only association with ADA is I've spoken at 2 events, but that's
have you?
Yeah. So we met at one of those events.
Yeah,
we
right.
did. Yeah, and downhill since then.
Yeah. Horrible.
Yeah.
Look at where we are now.
Look at this. Yeah. Speaking of which, thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
It's been great to hear about your history of hunting. And is there any? So you've got your one Samba trip coming up later in the year. I wish you all the best for that.
Thank you.
We have the new rifle, the tweaked
rifle.
Well,
if I don't, I'll just take my Kimber.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I wish I could take the 257, but it's not legal to.
It's not enough there.
But I'm sure they would make a mess of it.
I'm sure it would.
Yeah.
No doubt, and we'll have to improve our Scotch game.
We're going to have to work on our drinks. Yeah. There's a lot to order in.
It's a lot to order. New air rifle for you.
Yeah, new air rifle.
Port.
10 bottles of
$3 flagon of port.
Yeah.
You've got a whole carton of that Scotch to get for all the grandkids coming.
I do. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like we've got jobs to do, so
we've all got our homework.
Nice.
We better get to it.
Thank you very much. It was very enjoyable.
Thanks for coming along.
Thanks for coming,
Cheers,
Rich.
guys. Thanks for watching.
No worries.